Good morning and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. This is my Jacaranda Forest, which did okay over the winter inside. We had it at a south window, but it's a small south window and it really didn't get enough light. As you can see by this long growth here, it was struggling to get light. It did fairly well. I haven't seen any insects on it. It does have that strange, it starts out, I'm going to show you in close-up. It starts out just bumpy and then it gets black and bumpy in more of a line. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's overwatering, but I really don't know. If somebody does know what that is, please let me know. Let me get a close-up of it. All right, you can see here the green bumpiness, and then it turns to a darker color and gets in more of a line. I can't tell you that it falls off. I see it all the time. It's hard to know. It's on this tree very strongly. It's on this tree very strongly up here. I'm going to look really close to make sure there's no bugs. Nope, this is something coming out of the tree like a dried sap. But my task for today is to take a critical look at these trees and prune them up. About a month ago, I put biogold pellets on. They are spent. I'm going to take them off the landscape. This thing needs some work. I've evolved in my landscape ideas and thoughts since I put this in here. What I really want to do with this is have a street with driveways and then the tree plantings along the street that have been planted by whatever municipality. Casting shadows on the street. Maybe have a couple of driveways with a couple of mailboxes or something like that. Or if it's a more affluent area, maybe have some gates or brickwork at the driveways. That should be fun. These trees are maturing nicely. The small trees, they work great in a forest setting. This works great in a forest setting. But if I change how I want to display these trees completely, then I'll probably just put the small trees in a tray by themselves, let them mature. So these have been in the house all winter. They are semi or mostly tropical. They can't take the cold weather. So they're one of the few trees I have that have to come in the winter. As I've explained before, while we have a lot of window space, we also have a lot of indoor plants, and my wife is the keeper of those. And the struggle for indoor window space is constant. So I'm one that will opt for peace, and I'll take whatever window space I can get. In the future, I hope to have areas in either my basement or my garage, both of which are almost inaccessible at the moment, to winter my trees with lights or whatever. Okay, the landscape's okay for the moment. let's talk about the pruning. One of the pitfalls of working out in the yard is the outside noise. People are using blowers. The train just went by. It's far enough away, but it's loud. So let's start with this tree right here. I've got it focused in on this area, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. All right, it came up and divided into two, which I like. And it's at a good height for having divided into two. Jacarandas have this habit of coming out straight and going straight up. I've seen people bend them down, but then they look kind of weird and angular, and I don't like that. Even though the trees kind of do that in nature, it doesn't please me. So I'm trying to train these trees differently. There's a branch here on the side I do like that I'm going to keep. This one comes out and kind of cuts over to the left. I think I'm going to get rid of that one completely. Let me think about it. It's the most woody branch down low. Well, this one's woody. And I like the internodes on that one. You know what? I'm going to take this back to where it starts to cut around. Right there. It hides the trunk a little bit. It's got this branch coming straight down, or this leaf coming straight down. A lot of this is going to be leaf pruning, and this one that goes straight up. That's where I'm going to want it to send out some shoots. This one down here, I'm just going to take the growing tip off of it. It's all green wood. And I'm going to take this leaf off and this leaf off. And this leaf off. Okay, then I want to clean up the center of this tree. I hope I can. This is overkill. And this is the front of the planting, so let's see if I can tackle this from the back. It's not pretty. I just got to go in from the top. Get this in 2 bites. I'll get cut paste on all of that. Okay. Then the tree comes up in 2 nice divisions. Get rid of some of these low branches, old leaves. All right, I chopped it here, and it sent up a nice branch there, but this whole thing's getting too tall. So I'm going to want this tree to transition to this tree at a little bit of a lower height. So I'm just going to take the top off of this and the top off of this. So I'm taking the growing tip and the next set of leaves off of that. Okay, so what's wild on this one that I should take off? Here's an old leaf interfering with the tree next to it. Here's an old leaf. here's an old leaf. So the idea now is more light will get to this once I trim the neighboring trees. And it does back bud. There's one little branch coming out here, but it was not getting any light at all, so it may just die off. There's a couple of leaves that didn't branch out right here. And these petioles just dry up and fall off. There is a little branch starting there, and I kind of like that. So I'm going to take this leaf off. This is a tough species for a forest planting because it does get so sprawling, which is kind of why I kind of like a tree-lined street idea for them. And I may have them too tall for that idea. It might want to be, this tree may want to be cut down low. You know, I want to see what happens here. Eventually I might want to cut this tree down right to here. Well, let's see what kind of back budding I get on this and how these little branches do. All right, you got to keep doing this to see what's in the way. Here's a leaf I want to take off. This one I'm going to leave, even though it's interfering. When I prune the other trees, it might clear up a bit. This is just so dense, it's going to be a little hard to follow. Wow. I almost don't know where to begin with these trees. Let me look at the overall height. This is my equivalent of Nigel's blue scissors. This is my hacking scissors. I gotta be careful though. I don't want to leave too many bald spots. I did that last time. See if I can clean this up any better. Yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's move on to the next tree. This one has no low branching at all, and I could encourage low branching by just chopping it, but do I want to do that? They're in the greenhouse now, and they will be growing with a lot more vigor. Yeah, okay, so I'm not going to do that, but I am going to cut this off. I see two buds right there. The bifurcation died off on this one, so I'm going to try and clean that up. So that got my height down. What about the branching? I'm going to cut this petiole right there, which should encourage something to grow in this direction. And I'm going to cut this one. I said I would leave this leaf, but it is interfering. And this will send out a lot of new growth. I'm going down a little further on this tree. See if I can do it with this scissors. Did it very easily. Okay. This little guy. I'm going to take the top off of this one too. I'm not expecting this to be pretty at the end, but this does have a nice flow to it now. Shorten this branch. Not even a branch. It's a frond, but it was shading out this one below Don't know how to prune these trees. This one has 2 leaves, one right above the other, on both sides of the tree. They're so palm tree-like. I'm really not convinced they are good candidates for group plantings. However, I have it in a group planting. So I can still keep this tree as my tallest if I cut it here. And that's what I'm going to do. So it has a shoot coming up here, which I'm just going to let extend. Cut off this leaf. Cut off this leaf. And if history is any guide, within a week, I will see growth happening there. I'm going to cut off this one. So I may start to see a pattern developing of how I'm cutting these trees. And there's one back here that has a crazy shape to it. From the front, you don't see it so much. From this side, you do. Yeah. So I'm going to switch into fast motion and just prune up the rest of this forest the way I've been pruning up what you've watched. So here's my Jacaranda Forest set up for this growing season. I've cut most, if not all, I think I've cut all of the growing tips off of almost all the branches. I just noticed, with the exception of this one, but that one looks like I want to let it grow anyway. I've cleaned up a lot of that bumpy stuff just from taking off branches. There's always leaf fall with this tree, so I'm expecting some branch dieback and picking up debris off the forest floor. I'm going to thin that out a little bit while I'm looking at it. Yeah, so I fully expect there to be some massive growth now. I will fertilize again. This time I'm going to use those tea bags with the BioGold. Put a few in here. And then with regard to my future landscape with these trees, that's going to be a long-term project. And what you'll see from me first is the infrastructure work. It's going to be a tough one. I'm setting myself up for failure on that. But this is just, I don't believe these trees work well in a group planting. They just are too palm tree-like. They might work well in a line. They might work well covering a road. I did have a road in here at one time, a dirt road. You can still see it, but that was silly. This would make a very, very dense forest, and not one that I'm really thinking suits the trees. Nice upright conifers work very well in a forest planting. I'm not sure about these. All right. Thank you once again for keeping us company in my backyard. I'll give you one close-up 360 of this, and then I'll move on to my next tree. I'm not sure if it'll be this video. It won't be this video. I'll spread them out. Okay, take a look at it. I've cut a lot off. Hope it's happy. Well, it doesn't look too happy right now, does it? I want to get that cut paste on there and put it back on the bench in the greenhouse. Okay, take care, everyone.